Imagine a world where a chessboard wasn't just about pawns, rooks, and queens, but about power, ideology, and national dominance. Welcome to the Soviet Union, where chess became a battlefield without bullets, and every grandmaster was a soldier in a war of prestige. The Soviets didn't just play chess, they weaponized it. From the late 1940s onward, they produced titans like Botvinnik, Spassky, and Kasparov, turning the game into an international spectacle of Soviet superiority. But here's the question. How does a country that once controlled the chess world so completely find itself sidelined today, banned from competitions, fractured by corruption, and losing its grip on the very game it once ruled? The answer, in large part, lies in politics, war, and yes, Vladimir Putin himself. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, wait, chess and Putin? What's the connection here? Stick with me, because this is where history, soft power, and geopolitics collide in ways more dramatic than a queen sacrifice on Move 25. To understand Russia's decline, we have to rewind to the golden era of Soviet chess, when victories weren't just celebrated, they were broadcast as proof of communism's intellectual superiority. Every move was propaganda, every champion a national hero. When Bobby Fischer defeated Boris Spassky in 1972, it wasn't just a chess match, it was democracy versus communism, America versus the USSR, brains against ideology. The Soviets doubled down, training players like Kasparov, who became not only the youngest world champion, but also one of the loudest voices of dissent against Putin in later years. Funny how history works, isn't it? The very champion who symbolized Soviet pride would one day call out the Kremlin for corruption and authoritarianism. But as the Soviet Union collapsed, so did the iron grip on chess. The 1990s brought scandals, infighting within FIDE, the Global Chess Federation, and a power vacuum. Russia still had legends, but they were now competing in a globalized chess world where new stars emerged from India, China, Norway, and the US. Enter Magnus Carlsen, the Norwegian prodigy who not only dethroned Russia's dominance, but also challenged FIDE's outdated traditions. And while Carlsen pushed for modernization, Russia fell into internal strife, using chess more as a nostalgic cultural relic than as a serious weapon of influence. Here's where Putin re-enters the story. Instead of reforming Russia's chess ecosystem, his regime tied it to nationalistic rhetoric while at the same time launching wars that isolated Russia from the very international stage it once dominated. It's like trying to win a tournament while flipping the board at the same time. Spoiler, you don't win. Now, let's pause for a second. Imagine telling a Soviet grandmaster from 1960 that one day Russia would be banned from global competitions not because they weren't good enough, but because of politics. They'd probably laugh or accuse you of capitalist propaganda. Yet, here we are. Since the invasion of Ukraine, Russia has been sidelined from international chess just as it has from so many other arenas, losing not only influence, but also the respect of the global chess community. And yet, here's the cliffhanger. The story of Russian chess is not just about decline, it's also about resilience, reinvention, and a fight for cultural survival. In Part 2, we'll explore how corruption scandals, shifting global power, and new rising nations like India have permanently reshaped the chess world, and why Russia's next move might decide whether it can ever reclaim its crown or remain a fallen empire of pawns.
So, where does this leave us? Russia, once the beating heart of global chess supremacy, is now a shadow of its former self. Not because the talent disappeared, but because politics and power plays crushed the very foundation of what made Soviet chess so strong. The golden era of discipline, state investment, and the relentless pursuit of intellectual dominance has been replaced by corruption scandals, disunity inside FIDE, and international bans triggered by Putin's war in Ukraine. Think about that for a moment. The very leader who promised to restore Russia's pride has instead severed its connection to one of the only games where Russia once ruled unchallenged. It's like watching a king deliberately walk into checkmate while ignoring the cries of his bishops, knights, and pawns. And while legends like Kasparov continue to speak out, their voices serve more as reminders of what was lost rather than signs of a future comeback. Meanwhile, the chess world has moved on. Magnus Carlsen revolutionized the sport by walking away from the World Championship under outdated fighty rules. India's prodigies like Pradnamdana are rising as global icons. China has built its own champions, and the US is producing a new wave of grandmasters backed by private institutions and cutting-edge tech. Russia, the old empire, is not leading anymore. It's watching from the sidelines. And here's where the fear sets in. Once you lose influence on the board of culture and ideas, regaining it is far harder than winning back territory on a battlefield. Because this isn't just about 64 squares. It's about soft power, about showing the world who you are. And right now, Russia's image is one of isolation and decline. Yet, here's the twist. Decline doesn't always mean defeat. History is full of fallen powers reinventing themselves when everyone least expects it. Could Russia stage a comeback? Could a new generation rise against the odds and put Moscow back at the center of chess history? Or will the crown permanently shift to nations that embrace the future instead of clinging to the past? That is the question and the cliffhanger that will define the next decade of the royal game. And if this story of Russia's collapse on the chessboard taught us anything, it's that every empire, no matter how dominant, eventually faces its endgame. The only question is whether you bow out gracefully or get checkmated by your own hand. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Russia's chess downfall and its ties to politics and power, don't stop here. Check out our next video where we dive deep into how China is using sports and cultural dominance as part of its global soft power strategy. It's a story that will make you rethink the games we often overlook. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and join us as we uncover the hidden battles shaping the world today.